Hey everyone, welcome to episode 168 of the All Dolphins podcast on this Wednesday.
I don't think you got a good 68.
I do. Wednesday, December 20th, 2023, number 68. When we did Richie Incognito the first time around, we're going to do this time Seth McKinney, center from Texas A&M. And this is the interesting.
I'll let it slide. It's doable.
Phew, I was worried there. Interesting thing about him is he was the Dolphins' first selection in 2022. I'm sorry, in 2002, but he wasn't selected until the third round because that was the year the Dolphins gave up their first and second round picks for
Ricky Williams.
There you go. Very good. Seth McKinney played 4 years for the Dolphins, started the last two. And his older brother, Steve McKinney, also was a longtime NFL offensive lineman, played, I believe, 9 or 10 years for the Colts and the Houston Texans.
I am curious, how many years did he start in the NFL after he left Miami? He started 8 games with Cleveland and really 4 games after that, playing 3 more seasons for Cleveland and Buffalo. He did make it to a 7-year NFL career, and I think anything past 5 is a success story, especially when it comes to draft picks. However, I can't remember why he left the team. Was it collateral loss? Was it like a new change of regime or going for money?
Well, yeah, I mean, he did his 4 years and then left as a free agent. Had injury issues at times. I mean, was a solid starter. Nothing
more than that. Yeah.
No.
Actually, he started his last 2 years in Miami, so he wasn't even a full-time 4-year starter. Okay, all right.
Correctamundo.
Man, I just wish they would draft offensive linemen better in this franchise. But you know my obsession with offensive line. So,
well, they hit on Robert Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Looking like they hit
on Austin Jackson. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they hit on Robert Hunt.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. I think you made my point. I'm not saying you got to hit on every single draft pick.
Correct.
But it would be nice if, the good teams, how the good franchises do it? They draft offensive linemen in the second and third day every single year, and they build their line through development and consistency and progression. And we've never been in that position. Obviously, having a series of bad coaches has impacted that. Having a series of bad offensive line coaches has impacted that. I think we finally got a good offensive line coach in Butch Barry, who is the understudy of the best offensive line coach in NFL, a name I shall not repeat because he brings up a very dark period in Dolphins history.
Chris Foerster.
I don't like to bring up his name because it brings up old trauma. That was a dark period.
It is, but that was also 6 years ago. And at some point, okay, let's move on.
You saying we got to let it go?
Well,
it was a very embarrassing period. I would argue to you that it was more embarrassing than Bullygate because Bullygate was actually, it was a bigger picture, but it was a player who didn't belong in the NFL excusing poor offensive line behavior for bullying, and so he can get out of the team and get out of the NFL, as opposed to this is a guy dealing with escorts, snorting cocaine in a team meeting room and sending out videos, and a very good coach.
You make it sound bad, Omar.
Touche. Hey.
And touche to you where you didn't want to say his name. But yeah, he's a great offensive line coach.
He is a phenomenal offensive line coach.
Yeah, he's up there. Bill Callahan's also a great offensive line coach.
I think he's ahead of Bill Callahan.
I'm sorry?
I think he's ahead of Bill Callahan.
Potato.
Touche. Okay.
We're not here to rehash the ugly past, ugly episodes in Dolphin history. We're here to talk about very recent history, such as Hard Knocks, as well as the roster moves the Dolphins made on Tuesday. I guess let's start with the roster moves.
Absolutely, because it's not really that worth significant mentioning. Yes. Chris Brooks, your guy, he's back.
Yes.
He can help you on special teams. I don't know if he can help you offensively, but hey, maybe he could be a short yardage back. Who knows? He's huge. He's massive.
Correct. We don't know because they haven't really tried him. And why do we have any reason to think that's going to change? And I know a lot of the fans like on Twitter are hitting me up like, here goes, there's our short yardage guy. He wasn't when he was there before. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't disagree with you on that one. But the more significant move is that they cut Jason Pierre-Paul to make room for Chris Brooks on the 53. As we all know, Alan Poupard does the 53-man mathematics all the time. I do it as well. We identified Tyler Kroft, Eli Apple, who actually started starting role in the last game, and Chosen Anderson, Robbie Chosen, who actually had an elevated role in the last game. So we know those two are safe. I think Jason Pierre-Paul, I think that's a risky move unless you didn't like what you saw in practice, or you just didn't think that he was a good fit inside your organization or your locker room. But I do think that there's a good possibility he can come back on the practice squad, if not claimed today by 4 p.m.
Well, here's the thing. To me, the fact that he played 5 snaps in his first 2 appearances, and he was a healthy scratch against the Jets on Sunday, it's not a good sign. And I think, you know what? Well, safe to say the Dolphins are down on OPP. Thank you.
Back to that well. Good.
Well, we'll be here but not down for OPP, down on OPP. We'll be here all week.
Okay.
You know what?
I don't know if I can say that from this standpoint. They clearly know they've got pass rushing issues. Cameron Good.
What pass rushing issues?
Depth.
Okay, man.
You will acknowledge that, right? Every single one of your defensive linemen is on the injury report. Pass rushers is on the injury report this week. From Bradley Chubb.
Okay, and I texted you this. You never answered to me. What's wrong with Chubb?
He was on the injury report last week. You can tell me what it was because you know. I know you keep all the injury reports. Come on, look it up.
No, I do, but I didn't print out the one from last week, and I don't recall seeing him on the injury report.
Yeah, he was on the injury report with something. I can't remember exactly what it was. A knee. Those things, in my opinion, just don't disappear in 1 week. It was a short week. He probably, didn't go into the training room. They only practiced one time. He had a phenomenal game last week. Probably the game of his career. Will probably be named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week.
I looked it up, Omar, and I'm sorry to do this to you, but no, he was not on the injury report last week.
Oh, come on. Not Jets.
Not
Jets week. Not Jets week, the week before.
Okay, that one I'm going to look over here. Keep talking. Go ahead.
Yeah. Jets week, they only practiced once, bro. Nobody was really on the injury report.
Omar?
No way.
I hate to break it to you because I may have written this before too. He hasn't been on the injury report the entire season.
Really?
I'm keep looking here. I'm up to Kansas City.
I know there was 1 week that he showed up on the injury report, but if it's 2 weeks, okay, then my bad. It's not Kansas City.
I'm going back and I'm at Carolina now.
Okay. Washington is the week, I think. But
he wasn't. I've already passed Washington.
All right. Ignore that then. Andrew Van Ginkel, Emmanuel Ogbah, they both have injuries.
Yes.
Okay. Cameron Good played a significant amount of snaps last week. 22, you said? 20. Are you comfortable with Cameron Good playing 20 snaps, or do you need a little bit more polish for the second best pass rushing unit in the NFL?
Well, here's the thing. Melvin Ingram is that depth, not JPP.
How you know Melvin Ingram is that depth? He's been here 1 week. He's been on the practice squad. He doesn't really look like he's in football shape.
All due respect to Melvin Ingram, did he ever look at any point last year like he was in football shape?
Okay, I didn't see him last year. Touche on your part. So
if
that's the body, that's the body. My apologies.
He's not the body. What is it? The body beautiful or whatever. He's no Jonathan Harrison. That's for sure.
Okay. I did not know. Hey, if that's how it looks, that's how it looks. Okay. Well, I'm still not ruling out the possibility of Jason Pierre-Paul. I mean, he's a hometown guy. He's probably, if they like him and if they saw what they needed. Let's not pretend like they've got like a ton of talent. here hanging out on the practice squad. Okay. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that move if he hasn't been claimed by another team. We won't know that until Thursday at Wednesday at 4 p.m. if he's claimed.
Nobody's claiming him.
Yeah, I don't think nobody's claiming him.
Well, the dude was on the shelf for the entire year. He comes with the Dolphins and goes like this.
No. He went to New Orleans first, practice squad.
Sorry. My bad. Sorry. Apologize. On the practice squad there, plays one game, comes here, did this.
You don't know if he did this.
I know he played 5 snaps in 3 games.
Okay. And how many snaps did Cameron Smith play? And we both know he actually looked good in training camp. We don't know. Maybe he rubbed Vic Fangio the wrong way. You never know. You never know with Vic.
Maybe.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway, okay, let's move on.
Yes.
Do we need to discuss anything? Well, it's kind of Hard Knocks related, but Tyreek.
Oh yeah, Tyreek is probably the topic of the week, whether or not he's playing or not. As we discussed privately, when I watched Hard Knocks, and I thought, for the record, I thought that was the best episode. The best episode. You agree?
It was good. Yep.
Was it best?
Yeah, it's up there. It's close enough that I'm certainly not going to do my obligatory. Well, no, I don't think so. So yes.
Yeah, I mean, the only contender to me is the Jalen Phillips season-ending injury episode, and that really just got good at the end. This was good from the start to the finish. I loved every single aspect of it. In fact, my daughter was watching it and was captivated by it. The school element, oh my goodness, that's what got her. She was hooked.
Okay. Yeah.
From the school element, it tied it all in. The obsession with Tyreek, that painted it as an obsession with Tyreek. Tyreek in the training room with the boot, him talking to Tua. Tyreek saying, "Man, we got a good team." Tua correcting him, "No, we got a great team." I loved it. The salt and pepper bromance. Come on, man.
That was awesome. That
was so good. The salt and pepper, because we know it, but to paint it and tell friends, letting people know who Zach Sealer is, the nation, that this guy lived in a trailer for 2 years, just because he needed to pick his stuff up and go wherever he was needed. Them being at his wife's baby shower, it was awesome. Then to paint the comeback, Mike McDaniel calling the 60-yard bomb. Come on, man.
Well, okay. This is going to go like the hater, the party pooper, whatever. Here's the thing. The ball's on the 40-yard line. McDaniel knows what the play call is, and he's just expressing confidence they're going to nail it. So the interaction after the fact was very, very cool. And his line to me is the best, because he said it 2 different ways. He says, I have a hard time not visualizing this as a one-play drive. That was very cool. To me, the best line of the entire show was when Sealer gets a sack and Wilkins is jumping up and down with him. He goes, "That's my friend. That's my friend."
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. Sorry.
No, the best moment.
I said yes for me. Go ahead.
Okay. The best moment for me, that's a little overrated. That's my friend. That's my friend. They said a lot of funny stuff. That's my friend. That's my friend. Little cheesy.
On the field after a sack. I'm sorry. I find that hilarious. Go ahead. Yours.
It was okay. You made me chuckle. Okay. The Mike McDaniel speech, taking accountability for the performance against the Titans, leading up to the Jets game, showing the film, showing the cut-ups, and basically like, okay, now my quarterback's compensating for my poopy ass calls. And, Xavier, elite player, trying to make a play. But if he just did his job, these things wouldn't have these plays wouldn't have happened.
I was surprised that they showed Xavier being called out and singled out like that. Holy moly. I wasn't the only one, right?
No. I mean, and it's um
Can we agree that they maybe would not have done that with any player on the team?
what do you mean by that? Explain.
Oh, I think there are certain players that they would not have made. They would not have been as perhaps as comfortable as pointing out. Because I am going to assume that maybe it wasn't the only player who was singled
Yes.
out in Mike McDaniel's video to his players.
So you think that they strategically picked out Xavier as the guy who can handle it? Is that what you're saying?
Something along those lines.
Okay, that's an elevated thought that I have not pondered and bounced around in my head. Okay, all right. I can stomach that a little bit. He didn't call out Tua. He praised Tua. He did praise Xavier when he said it. I mean, but I didn't even catch that play on the replay of that game. Like you see Xavier clearly trying to read a play, anticipate a play, and then have to trail. And Xavier's a ball hawk. He hasn't gotten many opportunities this year. Maybe you get a little thirsty. So
Except the game circumstances weren't good because that was at the end of the half. You remember the play? That was a completion to DeAndre Hopkins about midfield. The play on which Deshaun Elliott sustained his concussion, by the way. And given the game circumstances late in the first half, Tennessee in 2-minute mode, that's not the time where you kind of make that gamble, in my very humble non-coach opinion.
Okay. All right. Okay. I can stomach all that. Okay. I dig it. I dig it. Back to the episode. I thought Mike McDaniel's speech.
Okay, go ahead. No, because I finish your thought on the speech. I wanted to make a point about the speech. Go ahead, but you first.
I had been on the fence about Mike McDaniel.
Mm-hmm.
This is just keep this on this podcast between me and you and all the listeners. Okay. Clearly, he's established himself as an offensive mastermind. Okay. Clearly, he's established himself as a smart guy, Yale graduate. Clearly, he's established himself as somebody who's relatable. The world knows his failures. I'm glad he brought that up in the speech. Okay. What I did not know and was not certain of, he's this rah guy. He's everybody's buddy. We've seen that with Adam Gase. But can he be a leader of men? And Gase, in my opinion, was a lot of things, but I didn't feel like he was a leader of men.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on the fence about Mike McDaniel. That speech sold. And now I'm like, oh, wow, this guy's really special. He's got everything. Because I thought leader of men was the one thing that I needed to see and I needed to know. And it's all good when things are going great. But how do you respond when adversity hits?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get to see up close that 5-game losing streak last year and how they dealt with adversity. And clearly they didn't deal with it very well because they didn't get out of it. They limped to past the finish line.
They weren't good enough. They're better than they were last year because it wasn't anything intangible related. They weren't good enough.
Kept losing though.
Because they weren't good enough. It wasn't intangible related. Again, they're a much better team than they were last year. And I'm with you with McDaniel and what stood out to me, and it wasn't this, because through social media accounts from every team, you see a lot of coach post-game speeches and all that. So a lot of the stuff is stuff that's said everywhere. And I understand Dolphin fans are going to go crazy whenever he says something, but and I'll give you another one. The notion of like, it was good that we lost because it gave us adversity and we have to overcome adversity. That to me is like, no, it's not good you lost. It's never good you lost. Obviously, once you do lose, you want to get something positive out of it. But this idea of like, oh, I'm glad we lost. BS. Sorry. But the part that really stood out to me as massively impressive, and not every coach does. In fact, it's a rare quality. And then you mentioned this, is I call it some effing horrible plays. This is all of us. I mean, that was beautiful. That was.
Because he did call some effing horrible plays.
Correct, but it was like, and contrast that to the coach in Buffalo and the 13-second thing, where it's been reported many times where he was like, "Not me, not my fault." Well, McDaniel was like, in
Hey,
front of
man, he survived that hit. Let him go. All right, he survived.
no, that's no, and by all accounts, he's a decent coach, and but that was ugly,
Yeah,
and that an NFL observer, it offended me from where I sit. That's
yeah.
garbage. I mean, but anyway, but McDaniel, I mean, major props for, like, this is a team loss. It's not you guys lost. We lost. I made some horrible calls. We had some bad plays.
Nick
It's
made some
all
horrible calls too.
right.
I put it on. I put it on coaching when we did the podcast afterwards. I was
Correct.
like,
But
this is
and that's how you earn the respect of your players.
what I didn't like about the episode is they didn't get into, and I'm realizing this now. This is a common thread. They do not get into injuries. They do not address injuries. Like, how do you not address Liam's injury? How do you not address the new center?
Are you surprised by this?
I don't know if I like it because it doesn't really tell the whole storyline of like, you didn't get Mike McDaniel talking about how are we going to start a guy who's been here for 3 days and participated in one practice. Well, Liam's got to soldier through this thing. And I get it. Not everything can be that storyline that you need, but you didn't think Liam was a storyline last week? Like that's the guy who got the first game ball.
Oh, I know. But it goes into, there's only so much of how the sausage is being made that they're going to show. And I think I've said this from the beginning, and if somebody, by all means, point out if I'm double talking here, that I thought they were going to be pretty tight-lipped or tight-cameraed,
Yeah,
when it comes to injuries.
absolutely. I mean, we haven't even seen Jerome Baker at all this whole season. Like,
Correct. And you don't think Tyreek's prep and efforts to play in the game during the week was something that would have been of interest to fans? Absolutely.
But no question about it. But
I mean,
I think this episode taught me injuries are kind of off limits.
Yeah.
So hey, there is HIPAA rules. So, but I mean, they've been in the training room before. We've seen them in the training room.
Well, injuries, as long as they're not season ending to where there's a conclusion, then there's nothing, like, there's no uncertainty. Like, for example, as you mentioned earlier, there's a major cloud over Tyreek in terms of his availability for Dallas. There's just no offense. And Mike McDaniel pushed back at his press conference on Monday, saying, by definition, if you warm up before a game to see if you can play, you're close.
I don't know if I believe that.
Correct.
He's a liar, because I think that was the first time Tyreek actually tried to play football. You understand what I'm saying?
What we say?
I think that was the first time Tyreek actually tried to play football, was the warm up. So yeah. I don't necessarily know if I agree with Mike McDaniel that if you're warming up, you're close. Because I think it was predetermined that Tyreek. No, it wasn't predetermined, but Tyreek tried, and that's the one thing I did learn about it. You saw Tyreek try, and then from the videos that I was seeing while I was doing the WQM pregame show, it was showing Tyreek, and it was all good. And some of them were live shots. But what Hard Knocks caught with all of their many cameras is all the grimacing after the stops, stop and starts, change direction, the grimacing. Yeah, that's a high ankle sprain. I'm putting on my medical, showing off my medical degree here of covering the NFL for 15, and high ankle sprains 2 to 3 weeks. If we're going to be, and we know how the coach leans on injuries, which is the conservative route. Correct. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, and whether or not it impacts their ability to beat Dallas. And we shall see. Dallas, in this battle of the pretenders, which, we discussed on our Behind Enemy Lines episode with Clarence Hill. This is top 5 offense, 2 top 5 offenses, probably top 2 offenses, because I think Dallas is number 2 in one of those categories in points scored.
I think, are they 6 in both offense and defense, the Cowboys? I think they dropped after.
They dropped after that performance? Yeah. Okay. 2 top 6 offenses and defenses.
Yeah.
Going up against each other head to head. One of them will walk away from Sunday's game at Hard Rock Stadium viewed as a Super Bowl contender. The other will be viewed as a fraud. So let's get it on.
I agree. And for Dolphin fans who get tired of the narrative, again, who cares? Like, seriously, the Dolphins are 10-4. It is what it is. There's nothing insulting about saying the Dolphins haven't beaten a team with a winning record, because guess what? They haven't beaten a team with a winning record. And
go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I'm good.
Let me ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
If the Dolphins host every team in the AFC, who's favored against them?
Nobody.
So they would be picked by Vegas to win every team.
Again, in the playoffs, because of the Mahomes' experience, I think that might be a pick him. That would maybe one, maybe even favorite. And this is because Mahomes in the playoffs has done it over and over and over again.
Come on, Josh Allen. You're not going your daddy?
I have to use that term every time. My God, you have to use that term every time. That
would be pick 'em too.
Maybe.
We'll see. We'll see in about 2 weeks, because it'll be a preview. And Baltimore. I mean, I'm saying hosting, not on the road.
Right. Baltimore and Miami. I think because right now the Dolphins are I think it's 1 or 1.5 point favorite at home. I had seen Pick'em as the opening line. How much of that though is because, I mean, in Dallas is also 10-4.
Yeah, Dallas is 10-4, but they got no nose tackle on a 3-4 defense.
Well, I mean, but that's, you can't pick at positions like that. I mean, it hasn't stopped them from being 10-4.
Yeah.
And by the way, look at and I understand that they played from ahead quite a bit, but they have 2 horrendous games in run defense, Arizona and Buffalo. The rest of it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this notion that, all of a sudden Dolphins are going to rush for 200 yards by showing up Sunday. Not sure that's going to be quite that.
Not with that offensive line. Anyway,
that different topic for the rest of the week, right?
Yeah. Do want to plug a couple things on alldolphins.com. If you have not checked out Poupard's weekly obsession about what needs to happen and who needs to win, and all of the computations and all of the tiebreakers and trust me, I used to cheat off him all the time when I worked for other outlets, because he thoroughly breaks it down. Okay. So you can find that at alldolphins.com. I've also written a column about my 5 things that need to happen for this Dolphins team to win the number 1 seed in the AFC and win the AFC East. I definitely think it's a possibility. It's if they beat Dallas and then go beat Baltimore, it's definitely happening, unless your daddy comes and claims you for the weekend.
And then you would need a KC loss.
Okay.
Those damn.
See what I'm saying?
Those damn unkillable Chiefs still might wind up being 12-5, despite looking meh the whole season. It's just Chiefs fatigue syndrome, CFS.
No, man, you can't have Chiefs fatigue syndrome. It's one elite quarterback in the NFL, and his name is Patrick Mahomes. He's carrying the league on his whole back.
Okay, I can still have Chiefs fatigue syndrome. I'm just tired of them already. I got tired of Brady and all that. As great as he was, I don't need to have the Chiefs or the Patriots in the AFC Championship game.
He got 2 rings, brother. He got to get 4 before you get.
I'm not talking about respecting them. I have nothing but respect for them. I don't need to see the Chiefs or the Patriots in the AFC Championship game for 11. It would be the 23. It would be the 13th consecutive year if the Chiefs are in the AFC Championship game, because the Patriots ain't getting there. It would be the 13th straight years of Chiefs or Patriots in the AFC Championship game. Enough already. By the way, since we mentioned the showdown at Baltimore, we're now 12 days away from it. We still don't know if the game's going to get flexed. The NFL, per their rules, has a decision to make no later than 6 days prior, which is Christmas Day. And you hear all sorts of story. There was a tweet being put out that the folks in Baltimore and the mayor's office didn't want the game on New Year's Eve because of security concerns. The mayor goes out on Twitter saying that's absolutely not true. We want all of it on Sunday night. Flex this week too while you're at it. Who knows? Then there are a couple of other games that are good. Is CBS going to want to protect the game? Who knows? It could be one. Right now, it's scheduled for one. Could move.
It's the game of the week. Everybody should want it, man.
If it's the number one game of the week, well, CBS has first dibs because they can protect a game, and it's a CBS game.
Then protect that damn thing, CBS. Because I damn sure don't want to be here covering the Dolphins and doing a live podcast on New Year's Eve night.
Well, you might be, because then it would be 4:25. That's their national doubleheader game, and then they wouldn't, because right now that game is Cincinnati at Kansas City.
Nobody wants Cincinnati, Kansas City.
It's not as juicy as Dolphins and Ravens now that Joe Burrow's out, even though the Bengals are 8-6. But so we'll see. Again, it could be as late as Monday until we actually find out when that game's going to be. And that Buffalo game in Week 18 kind of sort of has a good chance of wind up being played at night as well.
Winner take all. Winner take all. Anyway. I in fact would put money on Josh Allen being voted the MVP of the NFL. So on that note, we will be back later today so we can wrap up and tell you the latest on Tyreek Hill and Deshaun Elliott and Javon Holland and Austin Jackson.
Robert Hunt.
Oh, come on. Robert ain't practicing.
Oh, no. Okay, fair enough.
Have you seen that bruise? That thing is about the size of a damn grapefruit. So hopefully when his leg starts to turn like a normal color, maybe he'll practice. We will be back later today after practice to wrap that all up. You know where to find us, alldolphins.com, and we shall see you later. Give him the hat tip, Poop.
I did right there.
All right, give him the Unabomber too. Let him see the Unabomber.
You want to see? Here you go. That's my Unabomber impression.
Let him do the Unabomber impression. That's the guy I like.
Glasses probably even look better, right? Here you
go. You gotta have to. You need next time get some shades. All righty, folks.